Hello and welcome to this week's television review where I'll be discussing season 2 of Severance, which just finished last Thursday. And I just gotta say, round of applause, because that was that's pretty peak. That was pretty peak in terms of television. And for me personally, I would put Severance, especially after this last season, at the very top. I think they're hitting on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders, in terms of writing, acting, directing, story. Everything they're doing right now is on point. Before I get into that, I just want to say this will be a spoiler discussion on season 2. If you haven't watched season 2 of Severance, please do not watch the rest of this video. My overall thoughts, fantastic. Please go watch immediately. I just feel like for a show like this, it'd be difficult for me to do a non-spoiler review, especially after the finale, especially after everything we learned through this season. It would just have been a really difficult discussion. So that's the reason why I did this one. I believe season 1 that I did was also a spoiler review as well. Okay, so to start things off, I do want to discuss that finale, that final shot, the final decision that Mark made at the end, which has been the subject of much controversy online, even amongst my friends. I had a watch party with it was me, my brother, my friend Eric, and his girlfriend Elizabeth. Shout out to all of them, and we ended up watching the episode a little later than we thought, and we were just like, oh man, we all have to work tomorrow. Like we'll watch it, and then I'll drop everyone off. It's all good. And that totally did not happen. We ended up staying for like another 30, 45 minutes just chatting it up because that's how good the ending was. And that's how, I don't know, I want to say topical is the right word, but that's how like engaging it made everyone be in the conversation. To the point where the next day at work, I was still getting a barrage of text messages in the group chat saying why any Mark's decision was wrong or why any Mark's decision was right, which I'll discuss kind of my position on that. And I will have Eric and Nick on, which is my brother and my friend Eric, on the future episode of the Thinking Boy podcast, either next week or maybe the week after, to discuss the finale and kind of discuss theories and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that. Anyway, back to the show. So we see Innie Mark running around with Gemma, or Miss Casey in this instance. He then gets her to go outside the door where she kind of reverts back to Gemma, who then sees Mark and is like, yo, we got to go. What are you doing? We got to get out of here, you know? Gemma, who's been a prisoner of the Lumen Empire for the past 2 years and the subject to God knows how many tests, is now pleading with her husband to leave, where we then see Mark S., who isn't Gemma's Mark, but a Mark in Mark S., kind of back away from the door and kind of think to himself, damn, do I really want to do this? Is this the decision I want to make? It's weird because like his decision ultimately is like uncertain both ways. You know, if he leaves, who knows if we'll ever see any Mark again, or if he stays, you know, we'll see them for sure for a little bit more. But who knows if they just put like the Glasgow block or, you know, they switch everyone off, you know what I mean? As I was saying, we see Mark kind of backing up, kind of questioning his decision, especially during the whole episode with him going back and forth with his outie self, which was very, very interesting. I'm so glad that was a back and forth and not just a one video exchange. We got to see them go back and forth for a little bit, which I thought was really neat. As he's backing up, we see Helly. And I'm so glad it's Helly. I think Britt Lauer confirmed in an interview on the red carpet or some kind of carpet event that it was Helly in that moment and not Helena, which I was so glad because the whole episode I'm like, dude, is that Helena? Even when he's hugging her, like when she gets out the elevator, I was like, dude, is this Helena undercover again? And then they made it to a point last episode where Dylan kind of dissed Helly and was like, you know, Mark couldn't tell that you weren't yourself. So I'm kind of glad that she was able to confirm that was Helly at the end, especially with that little glance that she gives Gemma. People have been saying that, oh my God, Helly was never cruel, this and that. Now, could they mess with this and could they turn this around and just make it seem like that was Helly when it wasn't? And the next season, we're just kind of like, damn, it was Helena the whole time. They could do that, but I just feel like these guys are really honest with a lot of their shit. I don't know. I feel like they don't really lead us one way or another. They just kind of like present information and then allow us to like make our own kind of opinions on what things are. But we go back to Mark S. He's looking at the love of his life, the only thing he cares about right now in this moment, which is Helly R. Two hold hands and they take off and they run into God knows what's next in the future. You know what I mean? While Gemma hangs back and is continuing to plead and banging on the door for Mark to come back, the two run off. And who knows what's gonna happen to them? Honestly, it could be like I said. I've been seeing a lot of like they're only gonna be like together for 10 more minutes, and then everyone's gonna go back or something like that. So who knows? But all they know is, and I think Adam Scott talked about this, who was phenomenal this season, by the way. But Adam said that the only thing he knows in that moment is that he loves her, which was very, very sweet. The whole meet me at the equator, then meet me at Montauk. I've been seeing that kind of on social media, which again, like this show just reminds me so much of things that I love. Meet me and Montauk being the thing from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But yeah, let's hone back on Mark's decision, Mark S's decision to leave with Helly and not leave with Gemma. I don't really have a problem with it. A lot of people were going in on him. Although I think as the days went on, the first night it was like, you know, fuck Mark. It was a lot of fuck any Mark, and he made a terrible decision. He's selfish, blah blah blah, and all this stuff. But I've seen like as the days gone on and as we gotten more information, because I think that a viewing event, and as more information and more context kind of came from the scene, it came from the show, creators and stuff, and actors. People are kind of easing up on that and not being so hard on them. But for the first day, it was rough. Like I said, me and my brother got into it because he was very much like, their lives don't matter, the Innie's life don't matter, this and that. And me and my boy Eric was just like, whoa, 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 slow down. Like, what are you talking about? Have you not been watching this show? But like I said, I'll have him on and Eric on to talk about that later. But for me, man, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. One, because I feel like Mark S completed every task that was asked for him. When it came to completing Cold Harbor for Lumen, he did that task. When it came to helping Outie Mark, retrieve his wife and save Gemma, or Miss Casey that he knows her as, he did that. He did everything that was asked of him. The only thing he didn't do, right? The only thing he didn't do was something that was asked from him from someone that he had no pre-agreement with. He never really agreed to leave with Gemma to the outside world, even though that would have been the ultimate decision, you know what I mean, to like free Gemma, then go with him. But really the mission for me, or the way I took it, was to free his wife, and then through that, and I'll get into it later on, but maybe she could like start the process of exposing Lumen, for one, faking her death, and two, just experimenting on her for the past 2 years. So in all honesty, I don't really have a problem with what Mark did at all. And maybe I'm a sucker for being hopeless romantic or whatever, but that last scene of them running was so fantastic. And like I said, I'm so glad it's confirmed that it's Helly and not Helena, because I was like, man, this is a hard shot. And then they transitioned to the film kind of grainy look, and I was like, I love that. I love that a lot. I really, really enjoyed that. That was sick. But if it turns out it was Helena, I'd be like, Jesus Christ, I can't post that. You know what I'm saying? I can't repost that on my story. I can't, because she's evil. You know what I'm saying? But now that it's confirmed that it's Helly, super romantic, very, very sweet. Yeah, I mess with that scene a lot. Okay, so I do want to go back to Gemma, and I want to discuss where she might go from here. I think we discussed this right as soon as the episode was over. We were saying how we feel that Devin and Miss Cobell have to be there, and hopefully Rickon as well. They have to be somewhere close to Lumen, somewhere close to the exit gate, to a quick exit where Gemma leaves. I don't think she'll get caught up. Granted, there is they always say there's a lot of security there, but we really only seen Drummond, Milkshake, and Grainer, so I don't know how much security is actually there. The dude in the front who just kind of like says what's up to Mark every time doesn't seem that dangerous, to be honest with you, so I'm not sure. I have to imagine they're going to be waiting on her. There's no way she gets caught up again. If she does, I feel like that'd be a bit repetitive and a bit like, it wouldn't be the same thing, but it'll remind me of Princess Peach getting taken by Bowser again, and then Mark having, or not Mark, but Mario, it's funny they both have M's, Mario having to save her once again every game, and you're kind of like, God damn, girl, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like her going back to Lumen is not the move for the show. Granted, they could do whatever they want. They haven't let me down so far, but I feel like I feel like season 3 should open with her, getting saved or getting retrieved with Devin and Cobell and Rickon. And they kind of take her off, and where does that go from there, huh? There's where the questions started to ring in. So Devin mentioned something about Rickon knowing high-level journalists, I believe at the end of last season. So I believe they could start that process of exposing them. Like I said, they faked her death, for God's sakes, you know what I'm saying? Now the legal ramifications are going to start coming. And I believe through that, Devin, I hope, will give her context of why Mark made that decision. That's why the whole decision-making thing never was that big of a deal to me, because it's like, the minute she interacts with somebody who knows Mark, one, I feel like she's going to interact with Outie Mark again, her husband, for sure. That's just definitely going to happen. If the show ends with them never doing that again, I'll be like, damn, that's a bold decision, but very heartbreaking. You know what I mean? But I feel like Devin will give her context and be like, that was his Innie. he also has an innie or an inside. She probably doesn't even know these terms, man. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. Oh man, and just seeing her on there, dude, was so heartbreaking. My Gemma.
My Shayla. My Shayla.
But yeah, I'd imagine they'd start that kind of exposing Lumen process relatively soon. I will say I don't know how safe it would be for her to still be there. For Gemma to still to be in Kier, I think is the name of the town. The town. I just they have to like they're gonna go after her for sure, right? I mean, there's no way they don't go after her. Um, and Cobell doesn't really have a spot like that. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough because do they want to go after her? You know what I'm saying? I'd imagine so to like kind of, you know, tie up loose ends and make sure the law doesn't get involved. But then again, they're involved with the law. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole like what's gonna happen kind of thing. But I think that's where Gemma goes in season 3. I think she might be a bigger focal point, and we're for sure gonna get more episodes in her perspective. I'd feel like. Okay, so after Gemma, I do want to go back and talk about Helly and her role in this and how she kind of and the interview that I mentioned earlier with Britt Lauer on the red carpet kind of mentioned this, how she kind of allowed Mark to make the choice in that moment, to the point where she's kind of seen him at that decision at the equator of him like his outside self and his inside self, and at that divide with the exit gate or exit the exit door, and now she kind of lets him make the decision, you know what I mean? And earlier we kind of saw that a little bit as well, you know, with her kind of pushing him to finish Cold Harbor and saying, you know, I'm still her. Like, yo, at the end of the day, like, I still have this evil person in me or perceived to be evil person. She seems pretty, at the very least, like, not really morally there. Helena does, you know what I mean? Because she just is cool with everything that's going on. And really, the only human side we've seen of her is her obsession with Mark and her kind of like falling in love with that person as well as her Innie, you know what I'm saying? Kind of longing for that kind of love, like on her outside life. The fact that she's getting that on the inside is kind of crazy to her. She's like, you know, feels like left out or FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. As well as when Irving was drowning her, which was a very human moment because she was very close to dying. But yeah, I think that shows a level of maturity in Helly. The fact that she, especially after that conversation she had with Dylan, who Dylan was like, you know, it's your fault that we're here. You know what I'm saying? You're an Egan. And she's like, no, it's not. Like, it's because it's not. It's not that person. It's not that, you know, Half-Life or whatever. It's not that person's fault, you know? Uh, Kind of like what Ragabi said, they were born without permission. So, I mean, aren't we all, to be honest with you? But like, you know, without their permission, you made somebody come back or whatever she said. But I don't know. I think it shows a level of maturity as they're getting older, as she's aging, kind of seeing this kind of like, even granted, it's only been maybe a year, I think, not even. I don't even know how long it's been time wise in the show, but you know, to see that kind of maturity and be like, I'm okay with making that sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with making that sacrifice if it means the greater good. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so I do want to get back talking to Helly, and I want to talk about her dad, that weird guy, James Egan, who we finally saw have some humanity when he was just yelling fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like that was hilarious, and that we actually saw the kind of accent they have. I always describe it as like English, like American posh, like almost like a British. You know how people have like a posh accent, like oh, like ma. Because I feel like Cobell and them have. I don't know what kind of language that is, but we finally see him break that and just kind of revert back to a regular person and being like, oh shit, this is like going wrong, going extremely wrong. Yeah, I don't know the stuff he said about Helly, that he sees Egan or Kier in her. I don't know what that's about. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. Honestly, that's the one thing that I'm like, I'm having trouble like figuring out what he means. If he means like, is Helena gonna be trapped now? Is he gonna be more focused on Helly? Like Helly, I don't know. The thing is, he told her all this before she helped, you know, foil Cold Harbor's completion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So I don't know what that means. I'm curious what that's gonna lead to or what that's gonna entail in the next season. Is Helly gonna be the one that Mark's like deleting memories? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I really don't know. And I do want to talk about the person that Helly held captive this episode, which was Mr. Milkshake. Mr. Milkshake, who was played fantastically. Man, the actor, let me look up his name because I don't want to get that wrong. Tremel Tillman, dude, beast, bro, fantastic, like throws himself 100% in the role. You could tell that he's just in it 100%. and embodies that character so much. You know what I'm saying? And I was watching the behind the scene thing where he's like, dude, I got him a band. Like, Milkshake gave him a full band and like a full performance, and it's still not good enough. They're still not happy with like this scene that was hilarious because like little moments like that. I also seen a clip of I forgot what show it was on or what channel it was on, but they all did like a Severance personality quiz, and he got Milkshake, which is funny. He's like, oh man, what? Like, I don't know. That actor is fantastic, and Milkshake in this season was really really good. But yeah, man, we kind of started seeing the little chinks in the armor of Milkshake in terms of his love and devotion for to Lumen. I think the first sign of that would have been the paintings. Those really strange paintings where they essentially like I want to say blackface necessarily, but they kind of put like repainted Egan or what's his name, Kier Egan, as this kind of African American person or this black individual to kind of appeal to Milkshake, which is so like in the show it's ridiculous because Lumen is ridiculous, but like outside it's just kind of like damn, imagine like. Then again, I don't know, man. The way society is now, I don't know how far fetched that is. You know what I mean? For people to do that to appeal to people, you know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, I think those paintings were the first sign, especially because you see Milkshake kind of be like, wow, like, okay, that's the first moment where you kind of see him kind of break out of that like Lumen rhetoric where he's just kind of like, this is a lot. Like this is something. It's something. You know what I mean? He's not really like super enthusiastic about it. And then you see Natalie, who like they were saying she has like the get out face, where it's just kind of like, she can't really reveal because she's always on the phone with the board, but she's also kind of like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? So I think that was the first sign of that. Then the performance review and Drummond kind of getting on his ass about using too many big words or the paper clips, stuff like that. And yeah, I think we're starting to see him get really, really fed up with doing the most, going above and beyond with these people because he is professional. Like that's the one thing, man. He is a very professional, by the book kind of guy, and it's just not. They just don't. They don't give him props. They don't. I mean, they give him props here and there with the paintings, but weird shit like that. Like they don't really like acknowledge how like what he's doing. The effort that he's putting in. While we're at it, I kind of do want to mention Miss Wong and their kind of dynamic, which I thought was pretty funny. I was seeing multiple tweets of saying how like work beef has no age, and Milkshak's like, I imagine Milkshak's like 40 or 35 or some shit, and Miss Wong is like I think 15. They said or 16, which is hilarious. And people were saying that she might have been the one to like give information to Drummond, that they kind of send her there to tell that he uses too many big words or something like that, which I thought was funny. But yeah, next season, do we see Milkshake turn? Do we see Milkshake switch sides per se, or kind of give a little more leeway to Mark and the Innies? I think by the end of it, he I don't know if he has a choice because he's surrounded by all these people. And like I said, I don't know what the security's like there. You know what I'm saying? It seems like it's non-existent now. You know what I'm saying? Mainly because people were saying online that like, and I agree with them, that like Lumen has a lot of power, but on that floor, they kind of keep things very on the inside. They don't want that many people knowing what goes on in that floor, to the point where we really only had, like I said, Grainer, Drummond, and Milkshake in terms of like enforcers. But yeah, I don't know what that would entail in terms of security now that like Drummond's dead, which was wild, and Grainer's also Grainer also died. So I don't know who's operating those things, and we don't really know where that's at, huh? I mean, I imagine it's with the creepy doctor guy, but who knows, man? But yeah, going back to the point, I don't know. I'd imagine Milkshake might have to have a little more sympathy now towards the Innies, especially because I feel like they're gonna come down on them hard on this next season. They're gonna be like, dude, what happened? All you had to do was like keep marking that room, and you couldn't do it. What's going on? Would he get? Will he get fired? The beginning of this season, we kind of saw the end of Cobell and her getting fired. Or actually, I thought we saw that the end of last season. Cobell getting fired, and then will we see another floor manager here? And it's kind of a meme at this point, but I'm just waiting for Gustavo Fring from Breaking Bad to pop up. Giancarlo Esposito. I'm just waiting on him to be in this show because he's in everything. And will he be the next floor manager? Who knows? You know what I'm saying? I feel like that'd be kind of funny, but at the same time, he's kind of a beast acting. So I don't know. I wouldn't be against it, but we shall see. I do also want to discuss Dylan because I feel like he was the most. I feel like the whole show is very like water cool talk. Like next day, like, oh my God, you believe like what happened? But Dylan's, I think, was very interesting because it posed a lot of questions. And a lot of discussions on how would you feel if that happened to you? If your wife is visiting your Innie, then your wife and Innie kind of have romantic feelings for each other. Is it still you? You know what I'm saying? I think back to the substance, you are one type of thing. But yeah, interesting discussion, interesting topic. And then seeing more of outside Dylan, which I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that guy because at the end of it, he seems more understanding and he seems more, present in what's going on in his family's life, his wife's life. Whereas before, he just kind of was like a guy on the couch, very much so, very much to the point where I'm like, man, I don't know how, like, if there was a point in the show, and this might still apply, but if there's a point in the show where, the Audis kind of unite on the outside world, not as their any self, but just outside selves. Of like Irving, I could see him being down. Audi Mark for sure is down. Helena, probably not. Excuse me. And then Dylan, who might be down on the outside, but it's like, will he want to do it? He just seems kind of like a day by day, very, very, I don't know, man. He said unimpressive, which I don't know, man. Maybe, but just kind of I don't want to say a slacker, but it's kind of like, I don't know how well he'd be or how down he'd be to like join the fight on the outside. Granted, he does have a family and a lot of things to lose, so God forbid me to like, I don't want to like speak on his situation like that, but I don't know, man. I feel like any Dylan's about it, and Audi Dylan is probably not about it. Back to that whole situation with his wife. His wife kisses his any self. His any self just falls in love. I feel like love's a big thing, especially when you go to Irving and Bert, Mark and Helly. Like the Annies discovered love this season. They kind of discovered it last season, but now it's like the rest of the cast did. And after his wife informs him about what happened with his any self, Audi Dylan freaks out. It was so silly because he's just like, I'm about to go earn a paycheck for this family, and it's just like, dude, what? You're gonna like you're not. Oh, you are, but you're not though. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy who you're arguing, he's gonna earn the paycheck. I don't know. Ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Just silly. Like in the in the world of the show. But yeah, how would I feel about it? I don't know. To be honest with you, I would definitely feel a type of way because it's like he said, like, what are you seeing in him that you don't see in me, even though we're the same person. And at the end of it, I think he kind of got a little more context that he seems like that is in him. And I think that I enjoyed that last sentence that he said that like I kind of like that you're there, and I don't think he meant that I kind of like that you're there at Lumen. I feel like he meant that I kind of like that you're there in me, that like I have that somewhere, my person could be that. I which I thought was interesting. But I would feel a type of way. What the fuck? Okay, after that, I do want to discuss, what do I have on here? Irving and his story. I love Irving. I'm a big fan of Irving last season. He's fantastic. I thought he's very interesting. I think he shined a lot during Woe's Hollow, I believe was the name of the episode where they're in the snow. And he kind of exposes Helena as being like a rat, a mole. She's a fucking mole. She's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that was the highlight for me. I gotta be honest with y'all though. If this was the end of his character, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. If this is the end of Irving, I can't imagine it is though. So I don't even want to like go dive deep and like go like off on that, like that being the end of him. But if it is, man, I gotta be. I don't know. I don't really like that. I feel like it kind of came a little too quick. I feel like we had that kind of, he had that awkward dinner with Bert and I don't remember his dude's name, but Bert's husband. Um, which again like gave us more questions than answers. Um, and then Bert shows up to his house, and also Radar. What's up with Radar, bro? Like Drummond was in his house, and now Bert was in his house, and like, what's up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is Radar deaf? Can he not hear? Does he have like a hearing? Is he a disabled dog? Maybe I'm not sure. You gotta bark every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Unless Irving trained him to not bark and kind of like be silent. Who knows? But yeah, then Bert's at his house and he's like, "Goon, the term goon." It's just like, dude, I don't know, because Irving could take Bert. I'll keep it a bean. Irving's he could take Bert for sure. So, and it even seemed like Bert was being honest, where he's just like, "I don't know, I've never done that before. I'm just a driver." But are you just a driver? You know what I'm saying? You seem very guilty, in terms of like your former self, but we still don't know what that entailed. But yeah, man, if I do like that we got to see Irving at peace and kind of like. And his whole situation is crazy because it almost seems like his reintegration process is a little different. Where I don't think he's had any operations done on him, but it seems like it's naturally occurring. Because again, the painting. How did he know about the the testing floor. How do you know about these things? You know what I'm saying? I feel like we need more context with Irving, which I is why I think that's not the end of him, which I'm glad. Yeah, I don't know. This season, I feel like he was going on a real peak with Woes Hollow, and then after that, it was real interesting. But after that, I don't know. It kind of got. I feel like his thing got a little lost. No disrespect. I still love the show. I still love him as a character. I still love all that stuff. I just feel like we I wanted to see more of him and wanted to see more context with that. Maybe a few more interactions with Bert before he leaves. I don't know. Uh, Granted, by the time we get to the finale, I was kind of like, you know what, we're not gonna see Dylan, we're not gonna see Irving, because like this thing is so huge that it just might entail just Mark and Helly, which I have a problem with. And then we eventually saw Dylan in the episode, but also Milkshake running away from him like that. God damn, that was hilarious. That was funny as hell. There's a GIF that I have saved where he's running at like full Sonic speed, like just the Flash. I don't know, man. His story, I need more of it. I need more of it next season for sure. But I enjoy what they did with them this year, and seeing where their character goes. I still feel like we're gonna get some John Wick shit from him. I don't know why. I just got that feeling that shit's gonna pop off and he's gonna be there and be like ready to go, because they said he has a military background. I hope we see him like full fledged, like, you know, full force Irving, but we shall see. Okay, and before I get out of here, I do want to give you guys my favorite episode. I think the finale and Chikai Bardo, directed by Jessica Lee, and I think the finale was directed by Ben Stiller. I think those two are pretty tough to beat. I think those are my two favorite episodes. The finale is the finale, but man, that Jessica Lee episode 7 episode was just fantastic. Like, for that to be her directorial debut, what? Like, insane. Like, just a standing ovation again. Like, phenomenal. That's like fantastic television, fantastic directing, creative. That's my biggest thing, man. Is like, you know, there's a difference between a good drama and a good, crime show and a good thriller and stuff like that. But the creativity put in there really like knocked it out the park for me. There were some shots, especially, and I believe this is all practical, because she was saying how she had to shoot through wires. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find like a clip of this, or I don't want to get copyrighted or anything, but there's a clip where, like, I believe it's Miss Casey and Mark talking in the office, and then it transitions to like the whatever the fuck that is, like the testing floor area with like the doctor and then the other like people who shadow the, our core group. That scene reminded me of the beginning of Fight Club, or somewhere in Fight Club, where they have that kind. And I think Fight Club is CGI, to be honest with you, but like where they're kind of going through his apartment and going through like the gas stove and like how before his apartment explodes. Dude, it reminded me of that so much. And like I said, these little things that like are familiar to me in terms of things that I like cherish. Like Fight Club is one of my favorite movies. Eternal Sunshine is one of my favorite movies. So the fact that they're kind of like not even doing the same thing, I want to say, no, I don't even want to compare the two, but like the fact that it made me nostalgic for something I really cared about, while simultaneously doing something very creative. Fantastic. Like cinema, that Scorsese cinema like thing, fantastic. And yeah, other than that, other than the directing of the episode, just showing love between Mark and Gemma. I'm so glad they showed an argument between the two, because we were seeing them be very like lovey-dovey and, honeymoon phase, you want to say. But relationships are, they do have, there's fights. There's no such thing as like a perfect marriage, a perfect relationship. Like there's going to be arguments, disagreements, because both of you guys are human. That's something that happens naturally. And yeah, that'll about do it for this review. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Please subscribe, like, share this video. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, that'll do for this. I don't know when we're going to talk about Severance again, guys, other than the podcast, but I don't know when we're going to talk about, a new season. I might even react to it. I don't know. I wanted to do episode by episode reviews or reactions to it, but I kind of caught up in the middle of the season. I caught up by Woes Hollow, so I was kind of like, it'd be weird if I reacted to like Woes Hollow or reviewed Woes Hollow than the other ones and not the previous ones. So I don't know. I think the next season I'll review episode by episode, or maybe react to them, but I don't know. I don't want to get copyrighted and all my shit get deleted, so I'll see what's up. But thank you guys so much for watching the review. I've been your host, Cesar Perez. Yep, till next time. Peace.